I'm the reviewer. You review it, I review you. This is my partner, Mr. It. We've been asked by a Patreon sponsor to look at the Your Movie Sucks review of After Earth. Well...
Denied!
Sorry, couldn't resist.
After Earth is a work of fart, and it shouldn't have come as much of a surprise to anybody paying attention to the production. But alas, we live in a society where people watch movies based on who appears in the trailer.
Hasn't it kinda, always been like that?
With the way the studio's trying to hide them, you'd almost think it was directed by M. Night.
No! God! No! God, please, no!
Whether I make a movie idea or not, whether it's mine or anybody's.
I am going to be seeing that montage in my nightmares.
If you watch his more recent films as comedies, it makes them much more enjoyable.
I've always said the same thing about 2013's Lone Ranger. What is it, T-Rex gonna come barreling through?
So I was planning on seeing this movie in theaters with the hopes that it would be a giant piece of shit. And my mom just so happened to be visiting from out of town on the release date of this movie. So I kind of tricked her into watching it.
Your own mother? For shame!
And yeah, maybe nobody deserves to be tricked into seeing an M. Night Shyamalan movie, but I was determined on seeing it as soon as possible. There was a burning question that needed to be answered. Could M. Night possibly make a film that's worse than The Last Airbender?
To be fair, I've heard tell that a lot of what made The Last Airbender bad was how little they gave a shit about the original show. When you take that out of the picture, it's probably still a bad movie, but I'm sure Shyamalan has done worse.
But that's okay, because he's going to use this time to force-feed us everything we need to know about the future. You know, things that could probably be shown or cleverly written into conversations throughout the film.
Shyamalan? Writing clever dialogue? Really?
He explains how 1,000 years ago, human beings had to evacuate Earth.
An evacuation of Earth.
What is it with Shyamalan and making his actors pronounce things weird?
I thought maybe he was a young man with a speech impediment. No, seriously, that's how they wanted this character to be, that, he's small for his age, he has some
Disability?
to overcome or to conquer.
No, because that would be interesting.
Hear that popping noise when the original take comes back in?
Sir, I am dedicated, have studied, and consistently display conduct becoming of a ranger, sir.
Honestly, I wouldn't have even noticed if he hadn't pointed it out.
So Cypher Rage gets home and we learn that the design choice of the future is cloth. Aw yeah, motherfucking 3-prong chopsticks.
Because 2 wasn't difficult enough.
There was graviton vibrations that already told us that there was going to be mass expansion.
How did he detect it, though?
He had a metal ring, and he saw that the magna particles flowed in the magna space.
In the hull.
And the fact that they were flowing in magna space meant, obviously, mass expansion was going to occur. None of these other guys went to school. Okay, Will Smith was the only guy who was paying attention in class.
The Herald has arrived! Finally! Someone who can make sense of Shyamalan's stupidity!
So in the future, it looks like oxygen masks are cordless.
I don't know how it works, but I think that would be a good thing to have.
So the ship is now fucked and they need to land on a nearby planet. Will Smith then notices a very slowly blinking light and then presses it.
Warning.
Okay, so that was a button.
This planet has been placed under Class 1 quarantine by the Interplanetary Authority.
That seems like kind of an important thing to know before you land there. So why would you design the incoming emergency message function like that? There's no beeping noise to get your attention or anything?
Hell, if it's that important, why wait for someone to push the button?
So there's a minor breach in the far away from the camera, further past those guys. A small breach. Okay, so then low pressure, the air goes out that way, Will Smith gets sucked that way.
But we don't see it.
But he doesn't feel fear. He can ghost.
It's just off camera though.
Because he can ghost, he's able to grab on. He grabs onto a ledge and a door closes around him. Because it knows he's in there and the ship is smart. Then, there's another bigger breach on the camera side from Jaden Smith. I'll actually show that breach. And that's when people start flying out of shit.
You are a treasure.
Okay, now he has something that he can bring with him so he can breathe in the environment. Wait, I thought the oxygen mask he had earlier was cordless. Like, obviously it's future science, but what about it makes it so that it can work inside the ship but supposedly not work outside the ship? You'd think that Katai would ask these questions.
When you're a kid in a life or death situation, you don't really bother with questioning your parents.
It's a Class 1 quarantined planet. Everything on this planet has evolved to kill
humans.
Everything on this planet has evolved to kill humans, as in within the 1,000 years that humans weren't there? Not only would the course of evolution over only 1,000 years not even really matter, but how would creatures in the environment evolve to kill a species that's absent from it?
I think it was an exaggeration to make sure he took the creatures seriously.
And what the fuck is with those guys in the background? They are completely fucking still. When I first saw the beginning of this scene, I thought that he might have been in some kind of computerized training program that allowed him to pause. But then you can see this guy kind of cough, so I have no idea what the fuck it was going for, but it's really awkward either way.
Props to those guys for staying so motionless. It's harder than you think.
Okay, so now all these other ones are just popping up on the radar? Like they were all completely motionless before for some reason? Were they just chilling out, maxing, relaxing?
It's called dramatic timing. Or stupidity, take your pick.
Danger is very real, but fear is a choice.
Well, fear is also a biological response to help you survive, but I guess it's convenient for you that you live in a world where fear is a bad thing.
You know, in early development for Inside Out, fear was actually going to be the one that Joy hated and was trying to expel from Riley's mind. Far more interesting than anything in After Earth.
He continues his journey and then stumbles across a bunch of dead baboons. It's possible that Ursa could have done this. It's too bad my drones never catch any footage of it.
Maybe Ursa's like Bigfoot.
Will is he's a physical actor, and he's very, he easily goes from one emotion to the next. In fact, you have to like stop him. He's so easy. He can go from anger to fun to this to that to fear.
Oh my god, Shyamalan really did stunt Will Smith's performance.
So Jaden Smith climbs down the tree, and it looks like either the babies conveniently fell in that spot, or the mother brought them down from the nest and then put them in that spot in the time that Jaden was climbing down. Either way, it's a very dramatic experience for Jaden. Fuck! Fuck! Fuck!
You know, with how stupid this movie is, it would not surprise me at all if that was the actual sound it made.
All that cracks and sinews and cakes in the brain.
That is the point where I took your advice about seeing this as a comedy.
If there's frost growing on your face, your eyes would be fucking frozen too. Trust me, guys.
And do I look like some frostbitten hose head?
Sorry.
Okay, so now something's dragging him around. I'm awake again after being unconscious for the 6th time.
At this point, you might want to consider a drinking game.
Dead? Thanks, you dead bitch. Died? You did die.
Can we explain why the bird died?
I lost my young. I want Jaden Smith to feel that same thing. Fucking asshole. I'm gonna keep him alive just so that he can see me die.
I think
I just want to make him feel bad.
I think it's just bad directing.
No!
Aw, how emotional.
This is very uncomfortable.
Working with Knight, I've always loved his work, and the ideas that he comes up with are as brilliant as anybody in the business. In his movies, he's never had a bad concept.
I mean, if you really think about it, when you just look at the base concepts for his movies, they're not bad on their own. It's just literally everything about the execution. As for this review, it was very well done. A good deconstruction of why everything in this movie fails. And honestly, while sometimes it didn't really add much, I thought it was a good idea showing the interviews and doing the extra research into what went into making the movie. A good one to check out. I'm the reviewer. I review you. Maybe she was mistaken. You don't so easily forget the one time you were successful in your problem area. It's unlikely, sure, but not impossible. I don't know, and that's what worries me. What else could she have done to me? What else did she lie about? What if she and Vicar were just as evil as Trakal was? Yeah. By the way, is it a good idea to be talking so openly about this? Isn't Mistus always watching? And I said, I'm sorry, I just got excited, but they fired me anyway. I mean, I deserve punishment, but